here.
Oh man, that's not it's not very big.
All right, want to call the meeting to order. And everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please, for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, adjustments to the agenda. Anybody have anything they want to add? Take off?
I did have a question. I'm sure Elaine picked out on that.
I didn't.
The closing of the extended thing wasn't 1 week, I believe it was 2.
No.
1 week,
It was 1?
1.
Okay.
Wasn't even a week. Yeah, it was.
All right. Any other adjustments?
Did we originally say it was going to be December?
No, I was my
Oh,
error.
that was a,
Oh, okay, so that should be 2.
Should be a 2.
yeah.
I had 2 numbers down.
Well, that might have made it the 21st.
I wished.
There are some, there's 2 or 3 things, but we'll discuss those in executive session, not out in open. Approval of the minutes. I have one thing, and that is under the public participation, the comments that were made by Ann McHugh about a board member they have removed from the minutes. And the reason for that is that Bill and I had talked about this a day or 2 ago, and we both agreed that of all the comments that are made at these meetings, to select just one isn't appropriate, and secondly, properly kept minutes usually don't include quotes. They use generalized statements as to whatever issue might have been discussed or mentioned. So I would like to have that removed.
All of it?
I'm sorry?
All of it?
Just the first paragraph. This one here.
Right, all of it.
Will it be replaced by generalized quote?
Just a general discussion. And are there any other adjustments to the minutes? If not, make a motion that we accept the minutes as adjusted.
I'll second.
All in favor? All opposed? It's 4-1. us to the next item on the agenda, public participation. I guess I should attempt to make it clear again that public participation is and will be decided by, whether it's going to happen, even happen or not, will be decided by the board. And up until now, I think we've been very accommodating to the people that have come to these meetings to allow them to speak their mind on agenda items. But I just wanted to reiterate the protocol for public participation, that anyone who wishes to speak, and only if recognized by the board or by the board chair, that it must be something relative to what's on the agenda. And I was asleep at the wheel last week when someone from the audience made a comment, and I should have stopped it, and I didn't, and I apologize for that, because it had nothing to do with an agenda item. And it was just totally uncalled for a comment to begin with. So, in order to keep things going smoothly and to avoid any character assassinations or anything like that, any people that are going to speak, please stick to an agenda item, please. So, under public participation, does anyone have anything they'd like to comment about on an agenda item?
Just to get back to what you said, if there is a comment that isn't particularly stated on the agenda, how do we handle that? How does one
We
handle
can do
that?
it on the agenda. Any given issue on the agenda.
You come forward to the or the board chair and ask to have it put on.
Thank you.
Jamie?
So what you're saying is, the only thing we can comment about is this, not anything that's gone on at, let's say, a previous meeting or anything like that?
That's correct.
After the meeting's all, because you've already done the meeting, you've had public participation, you guys have all your agenda items on after we have public participation. So, say the instance, the next meeting comes out, you can't bring anything up from that last meeting,
I didn't say that.
but what you're saying is on the agenda.
Don't tell me what I'm saying.
No.
Ask me a question.
You're telling me what's on this agenda is the only thing we can talk about for public
Tonight.
participation.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah, that's normal protocol, Jamie, for any meeting,
What I'm
is to
getting
discuss
at
any
is
item on the agenda.
Something at the last meeting, we comment before, but something said after, we can't comment on that at the next meeting?
Yes, you can. If you come to me or Bill and ask to.
If it has something to do with any of you guys on that school board and not necessarily the agenda, then I can't speak up and say anything right now?
If you want to make a comment about anything, come to me or Bill, and we'll have it put on the agenda.
It'll be on the next agenda for sure. I know, but there's no public participation.
Is public participation directly related to the agenda at hand? That's normal protocol. All right. Yes, sir.
So now I would assume that now that we're speaking of public participation is an agenda topic, so now we can publicly all speak.
Yes, I'll give you. I'm gonna allow 15 minutes for public participation. That's normal protocol.
Well, I can't bring up anything.
No,
No, it isn't. They
well,
just
we
said
can
it
all
wasn't.
discuss whatever we want now.
All right, Lori.
I just want clarification
Yep.
on, is WTA on item 19? I'm not sure what WTA is.
Woodland Teachers Association.
Okay. So, WEA?
Yeah, all right.
Oh, no problem, I just wanted to verify.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I just wanted to ask if you had any chance to consider any of the information I passed to Gwen to share with you guys.
That's my fault. I just got copies to them tonight.
Well, I would appreciate any consideration. I know it's not technically on the agenda, but it is from last week. And I just let you know I appreciate your consideration looking at the bill. Thank you.
Right.
It is important
Thanks.
in education.
Thank you, Lori.
Pat.
Yeah. I know.
What in the spirit of public participation is an item on the agenda? Just say that it seems to me.
I can't hear you, Pat.
In the spirit of public participation as an item on the agenda, I would just say that in the spirit of a general civility and fairness, that, how shall I say this, that you guys' perceptions of things that administrators do or say, and the public appearance of their statements and gestures you have asserted matters to you. Mrs. Gateman was quite explicit about the public appearance. Again, in the spirit of fair play, if that is so for statements of administrators, then I think that a similar clarity and civility are also called for on the part of board members. Public appearance matters for all. So that if we are to say that what Mrs. Mehta or Mrs. Smith and Mr. Brown says or does matters as a matter of public appearance, never mind intentions, but only as public appearance, then also what the board says or does must equally matter. We're thinking about public appearance, and public appearance cannot be a hidden agendas, or worse yet, witch hunts. This cannot be. We must be civil. This school district can only function if all of us are on the same page here. What matters is the well-being of this school and the students who attend the schools in this school. We can't be each other's enemies. We must be each other's strong supporters in this matter. I hope that that's somewhere within a purview of the comments that's acceptable to you guys. And I appreciate your willingness to entertain a public comment on something that's not actually done.
You're welcome. Jamie?
Review of gym usage policy. As a school board member, if I can remember correctly, I'm not sure what that item is on, but I do know no more than less than a year ago, we had actually gone over that complete policy, revised it and everything. So why are we bringing that up a second time when we've already gone and reviewed it before? And then actually it's updated because that was one of the few policies we did update was last.
Well, I think it was done in April, wasn't it, Bill? Last time it was reviewed was in April.
What's that?
It was last reviewed in April, before my arrival. So it was whoever was on the board prior to that is when it got reviewed. But I think some of the questions that were on some of the board members, I think, are unclear as to what the policy and who it applies to.
And this was developed with the town council. It was a shared development of this policy.
And then
Yeah.
used across the AOS.
So, I mean, it's just a review. I mean, it's not, we just need clarification on it.
I do know that was revised last year. I know a while back in
Yeah, in
previous
April.
meetings, you guys have mentioned a lot of the policies have never been renewed 10, 15 years. But I know that one was done last year because we had to go over it last year because we had issues last year, revised it and everything. So
Yeah.
I was just kind of curious as to why it was even brought to the attention.
Well, just because I think there's some lingering questions out there about it that we'll get to later on.
I just find, like you said, the witch hunt's out there.
Okay. We'll close the public participation aspect of it, and go ahead, Mike.
What is the issue on the boys' basketball? Why is that on the agenda?
Well, that's the next thing, we'll get to it.
That's number 6, Mike. That's coming right up.
I realize that, but I have to speak about it in public participation, correct? I was wondering why.
Well, I've been allowing people to speak also when we are actually discussing the actual items
Okay.
in past, so.
Okay.
you'll have an opportunity in just a minute. Okay, item number 6, boys varsity basketball. He's right there.
Oh, he's back there. I didn't see him hiding. Okay, what you have in your, put in front of you is a number of papers having to do with basketball that was asked for. One of the things that we ran across looking at job descriptions was there really wasn't a job description for coaches, so you have a draft job description, and certainly might take some time to review it, and I'm sure there may be some additions or some deletions. I've gone over it, John's gone over it, and Patty's had a chance to look at it, and had a discussion. You also, there was a question asked about the sports survey, and you have a copy of the fall sports survey in front of you that was sent out for parents and participants alike. And we have a issue with basketball as well that we'd like to pursue. There's been a change in the what they call the DAC, the Washington County Down East Athletic Conference. And a number of those schools have moved to the PVCs, and that may leave us searching for games as we go in the future. And I'd like to get permission possibly to engage, at least in some talks, with some other league, be it Northern Maine League or another league, if that's a direction the board would like to take. I realize the Northern Maine League, and we just had a short discussion, can be some lengthy trips if we have to travel to places like Fort Cat. It would be a while on the road, so to speak. So, issues that we're running into with changes in the league. We also had an unfortunate issue, and that issue between the coaching team has been dealt with. And should be put away at this point in time. I want you to know that it came directly to Patty and myself, to John. It was dealt with directly just as soon as we had knowledge of it, and I believe resolved to a point that probably or should not or will not, I knew better go that far, will not happen again. We expect our student athletes and our coaches all to behave in the highest regard for everyone involved in the activity, whether it's a co-curricular activity or a sports activity. Somebody's coming to get me. So that's where we are. Not sure which way you want to go.
That Northern League, John, is that an academic league too? Do they deal with academics as well as athletics?
I would assume so. I don't know that for sure, Glenn.
Well, we're not in any real danger right yet, are we? I mean, no one's withdrawn. They have withdrawn already.
Yes, here's a, I'll just hand this
And
around.
Matthias is waiting for a vote. It's 99. Narragansett is gone, PVC. WA went PVC and Callis went PVC. What they're trying to work out is something that will keep the DAC intact, which is really important. It might even bring back into the DAC. I doubt that WA will, because they've gone from C to B, Class B, and the rest of the schools are all C and D. The county, there's a lot of teams in good proximity to us that would make sense, that are at the same level as us and have good competitive programs. Shed is also going to investigate the Northern County versus the PVC.
How far?
Basically, we're asking for permission to talk to them and bring back information.
How far, like for travel, how many schools
Well,
would we
they
have to play to
actually
stay
talking
in there?
north and south, league. And if they do that, I mean, you're talking Hodgson, East Grand, Southern Aroostook, all actually is closer than Narragansett.
Yeah.
So if they ended up doing that, it would be a great move for Shed and us.
That would work well.
Yeah.
And that was where we were at.
That was my
yeah.
concern, yes. Yeah, I don't want to see us having to go to Fort Kent and Madawaska.
That's the problem with
Van Buren.
joining the PVC. Now, the PVC we've met with, and they've promised to try to keep the DAC together. But the games you don't fill in the DAC are at their discretion. When they do a schedule, say basketball, for example, when the schedule is done, they hand it to you and say, this is where you're playing. And what's happened to Callis is Callis has ended up going to Fort Kent, Caribou, you know, and we're hoping if we look at the Northern League, they won't do that to us. PVC has said they'll try to keep the DAC together, but once you fill that schedule, then you're at their mercy as to where they send you.
And that, when you try to pick up games, you're going to pick up wherever you can pick up, and that's what you'll end up with. They'll sign it.
So I assume this is still in the discovery stages, and
Well, what we'd
gonna
like is
need
just
costs
permission
and
from
all.
the board to go ahead and investigate that, bring the information back. Obviously, it may or may not have relevancy to budget, but it could have a budgetary impact too as well. Certainly, that's something you need for discussion.
Well, I'll make a motion to allow John to investigate that and meet with them or call them, contact whoever he needs to find out if we can get into that.
The next meeting is in January,
Okay.
and if approved here, they have invited us to that meeting, so it's okay.
I make the motion.
We should attach to that some speculation as costs.
Yeah.
What we can, you know, okay.
Yeah, we'll try to bring back full information whether they are willing to engage in that discussion and who would be involved, and then we can determine whether there'll be additional cost to us.
I second the motion. All those in favor? The motion was to have the athletic director and the administration look into the thing of some other. Okay, you got it. Okay, he's got it.
Northern League.
Pursue information.
Okay, Bill, back to the on number 6 there.
Yep.
We're going to go into executive session, or
Totally
are
up to
we?
you.
Where are we at on that right now?
If you want to, it would be an executive session with the 405A personnel. Yeah. Yeah, you
Do we have other things to talk about?
can. No,
Yeah, I would enter an executive session just to get some clarification on what we can expect for some written guidelines or policies for the co-curricular, extracurricular activities, and I guess it's going to be an all-encompassing type of standard operating procedure. So I move that we go into executive session under State Statute 405-A.
discussion?
Yep.
Not- Okay.
Yes, it is.
Is it a personnel issue?
Well, it has an impact on personnel from job status, but not individual personnel. Not individual person.
Looking for a second. Moved and seconded to go into executive session under meet statute 405-A. All in favor? It's not about anyone. All right, folks, it's 5:56.
Is Pat a part of this discussion?
Yes, should be, I would think.
Sure. Well, actually, Jane, you might as well stay as well.
You want John to stay too?
John's can stay.
And I was like,
I know what that door. I'm talking about the other one, we just saw it. The one we saw.
Sure.
Well, I wonder why you.
it's like, you know damn well what happened to that door.
It's great, thank you, Pat.
Don't destroy those.
We gotta vote on this.
Well, yeah, because I sent you
You have the general
emails.
Right, point.
Yeah, that's what that is. All I would is this is on your computer. I would just copy it off and then I would cut it at each place. The really key for junior high didn't have any surveys, to anything, and JV volleyball was on
Have they put the
Nope, you're all set.
junior high basketball schedules online yet? Have they done that yet?
Oh, no.
Season will be over before I wait for Tammy to get me one.
John, are the junior high schedules online yet?
Online, no, but they're done. I sent you a copy.
Yeah.
I know, but I need a copy so I can attend them.
Oh, I gave them to the coaches too. They were handed out.
I don't have a kid in the junior high, I still want to attend.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah.
We'll get them on the website, I'll ask Holly now.
What do we
Need a motion to allow John to address the northern,
I make a motion that, was that it, or was it?
oh,
We already made that
oh, did
motion.
we?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
to-
we did. I got
It's
it.
to do
Yeah, I
with
got
the,
it. Yeah, I got it.
it's to do with the,
Okay. There's nothing else.
yeah, there was. There
yeah.
was.
What else was there? There was something else there. We had to vote on that. Well, first of all, I want to,
Allowing them to see the survey.
Oh,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes.
That's right.
I want to,
Not yet.
got to vote to come out of an executive session. Do you want to make a motion to come out of executive session?
Oh, we did already.
Yeah,
It's 46.
we voted?
Si-
Well, you don't have to vote it.
We don't?
Okay.
No.
All right.
Want to thank all those involved. I believe Patty and John were involved with this fall parent sports survey. It's got some very useful information on it. And it was direction from the school committee a month or two ago that we wanted to get some feedback from parents and students in our extracurricular programs here at the school. And it's voluntary. I guess there was a relatively good response from the program so far, but I just wanted to commend Patty and John and everyone else involved for following through with this. and providing the information to the school committee. It's going to be useful, I hope, or I'm sure, in the future.
Want me to make a motion?
Sure.
Okay, I'll make a motion that the advisors and participants, the coaches, should be able to see the results of the generalized surveys.
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the administrators be allowed to see and review the generalized Woodland High School sports surveys. It should actually be extracurricular surveys. I assume this is going to happen with all of them, right? Yep.
Yeah.
So change that to extracurricular surveys. And seconded by
Gwen?
Gwen. Okay. All in favor? 5-0. Let's see. Number 7. We have the superintendent's report.
Okay, what I've got really is, I have the expenditure report for you. It's been a busy couple of weeks and things are moving along in good shape. I understand, I shared with Jane and a few others that I haven't had a chance to read any of it yet, but there's a report out for ESA, results from the federal government, finally adopted 10 pages of something that we need to review, but we'll get through that, I'm sure. As far as expenditure, November completes 5 months of the year, about 41.67%, remaining 58.33%. Accounts that, as I said before, that would have had an annual or semi-annual payment made before that would show an expenditure greater than that 41%. Independent accounts, lines that appear to have been under budgeted to exceed would include the nurses' insurance. If you look at it, you'll see that it's expending at a little higher rate than expected, but there was a change after the fiscal year, after we had issued the budget, of her insurance coverage, which had an effect on that account. A little bit of a principal account and elementary teacher tuition. We have some more staff taking classes, and we had anticipated when we did the budget, so it's been impacted. Those will be okay as we through the year. The adopted budget, as you'll see, was $3.8 million. Expenditure to date is $1.316125 and change. Remaining balance is $2.492, almost $2.5 million, or 65.43. Expected remaining would be 58. Right now you have 65%, so we're still running in good pace, good trends as far as expenditure in relation to our budget. And I would expect that would continue at about that rate throughout the year, unless we have some devastating thing happen. Lost a well over the weekend on the other side of the district, just to keep me jumping on Saturday and Sunday. That's it. Questions about November or through November expenses?
Could you tell me something about what was the audio-visual
Yeah,
cost
it
change?
was just a change in the price of the projectors that were bought, just like price change. And while we're on that too, we've ordered the cord so that we can stream these over the net from the meetings. The cord hasn't arrived. We kind of hoped it would be here today, but it will allow us to stream from the camera back onto the internet, so that we'll be live over the internet, hopefully by the next meeting. Any other questions?
What else will be streamed live?
We will be able to stream almost any event that we would like at that
We
point in time.
currently do over the Q. We have graduation, class night. We do all of those activities over the Q. And it's all streamed live.
I had one other question due to the budget too that came up, a question about a staff member who attended an event that was using 2 personal days, and for those who are contract weary, those I have very little control over. They used 2 personal days to be involved in an event that was quite a ways away, and we're back for the return to school on that third day.
And 2 personal days are all the days that were missed?
That's it.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Administrative reports.
Okay, I'll review what I sent to you in your packet. Last week, we had a celebrity in our midst at the elementary school. The Channel 2 meteorologist Steve McKay visited grades 3 and grades 4, and he was extremely impressed with the quality of behavior and the quality of questions that came from those students. And I'd like to personally thank Mrs. Morrison and Mrs. Maloney and the parents who did a fantastic job in preparation for his visit. And Gwen can attest to his exact quote that he stated. Did he say that?
He said that he's been to many schools and that the 3rd and 4th grade in our school was the best behaved children he has ever spoken to.
And then hopefully he hasn't said that to every school.
Yeah, hopefully.
The week of November the 23rd was set aside for parent-teacher conferences. Teachers held conferences Monday, Tuesday night, and even into Wednesday morning. I should have gotten a percentage of how many of those parents showed up for conferences. Opportunity to do that. As well, Marshall Westrack and I had an open house for our annual Title I meeting. Every year we're supposed to have some type of informational meeting for parents, and we decided to have an open house this year. I did send along a sample of a Title I brochure that should give you answers to most of the questions you may have regarding Title I. Rec sports, cheering and basketball have started, and luckily we have great volunteers as coaches in that program. Total enrollment at the elementary level is now up to 141. It's quite a bit since the beginning of the year. We're halfway through the second quarter on December the 11th. Progress reports will then be given to students, and hopefully they'll take those home with a happy face. As promised last time, I gave you some pie charts with some wrong information, and I do apologize again for that. I have redone those, and if you look at our math data, we do have 17% of our kids who are below the standards, with 83 on or above. And our reading, I'm not really particularly happy with, but we have 71% on or above and 29% below. So there was a significant difference there. They weren't the same as the pie chart that I gave you at last meeting. I also attached a copy of my monthly principal's letter that I send home for you to review. Okay, I do have one more thing that I would like to throw at you. As you may know or may not know, our kindergarten teacher is out on health problems, and she will be out for an indefinite period of time. At kindergarten, it's no longer playtime. We focus on academics strongly. My concern, and the concern of parents as well, is that if I don't get a good person in there who is solid in the teaching of math and reading, our kindergarten students are not going to be prepared for first grade. Currently, I do have a sub in there, and she's doing well under the circumstances. However, there is an ad in the paper for a long-term sub. But I want your permission that if I do not find a suitable person, one whom I can feel confident that will deliver the instruction in the manner that those fully prepared for first grade, that I have Bonnie Trione switch pre-K and do the long-term sub in kindergarten. with the same pay, no cut in pay for her whatsoever, that's be there too.
True. And who would be there for pre-K?
I'd have to get another long-term sub in for pre-K. I'm looking at the needs of our kindergarten students without negating the fact that we do need a good person in there for pre-K as well. However, pre-Kers sleep in the afternoon. And learning still goes on for those kindergarten students. And I know parents, and rightly so, they are concerned about what is happening or what is going to happen with our students there.
Have you brought this up to the parents?
Yeah, because
I kind of gathered that, but I just wanted to make sure.
I've had some parents call me with concerns, and
Okay.
and
And they're-
I justify those concerns.
And you're okay? Can I just ask the question? Are you guys okay with that?
That's what we'd like to see.
Yeah.
Like action sooner than, because it's already been happening for 4 weeks. We'd like to see that switch happen sooner than later.
And
My
I couldn't
personal
get this-
opinion is Bonnie would be
Terrific.
terrific.
I couldn't get
Yeah,
this to you
she already
before
knows
now
them.
because I had to get the doctor's note.
I think so too. I think she'd get good.
Yeah.
Great. And I've talked with Bonnie. She will do it. A little bit reluctantly because she has made bonds with her kiddos, but she knows the importance of getting that instruction over to those kids in kindergarten.
When was the ad in the paper, Jane?
It won't be out until tomorrow.
Oh, so it hasn't really yet. Yeah.
And I
So,
couldn't do it again until I knew
Yeah.
for sure what was happening with our.
so will that ad be changed to pre-K instead of kindergarten, or just a long-term sub?
Just a long-term sub,
And as they apply, you'll tell them what?
the change that we'll be making.
Need a motion if we're going to make that.
I motion that we let Ms. Smith put Bonnie Trione into the kindergarten position.
Thank you very much.
I second it.
Thank you.
Thank you
You're very welcome.
Go home now.
All those in favor?
very much. We're gonna cancel the training for algebra in the
4-0. So we don't have a pause.
Might have to call
Any,
somebody.
all those opposed? Abstain? Did you vote? Did
You
you?
didn't raise
I
your
wasn't
hand.
listening evidently.
Evidently not.
Yes.
It's 5-0.
Got it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Ms. Meta?
We all know that winter sports have begun. That was taken up at the last meeting. The policy committee I've been talking to you about on the proficiency-based diploma requirements. We've got 3 policies that have got to be passed. We understand that the education about proficiency-based education is not equal with everyone. So we would like to, it's gonna take some time, those policies and explain what we're doing. We'd like to ask that you have a special meeting that's devoted solely to proficiency-based education and those policies. We have a PowerPoint presentation one of the teachers has developed to share with you as well, to walk you through that process. But we'd like to get a date for a meeting. We've been looking at software compatible to proficiency-based grading. We've looked at Empower right now. The staff had a quick training on it last week or the week before. They also have fake accounts that they can use to play around with it. Next, we'll be looking at Mastery Connect and doing the same type of thing. MMS does proficiency-based education grading, but we're not sure that it's at the level that we need it to be at, which may mean purchasing a new grading program. And it doesn't mean getting rid of the old grading program, because we need to continue to have our 10th through 12th graders on MMS and our 7th through 9th graders on whatever program we choose. So there is a cost associated with that. Gear Up money, our plan for Gear Up will be ending very shortly, I believe January 1st, for year one. Part of something that we just did recently were, in fact, Monday was 7th and 8th graders were taken to WCCC and UMM. UMM had a wonderful program for them. They were all excited, couldn't believe they got to eat in the cafeteria and have whatever they wanted to eat. And so we're trying to up our younger students for college readiness, get them excited about going to college. We'd like to go down to even lower grade levels. We believe that starting at the 4th grade level is where you start taking kids on college visits and doing what you can do with them to interest them in something post-secondary, whether it's meeting with recruiters or workforce or careers, whatever that is. We had our financial aid night, and I attended the fall principals conference, and we had a speaker there. His name was Todd Whitaker. He's written a number of books, what great principals do differently, what great teachers do differently. I used to use what great teachers do differently as a text for new teachers coming in. We would do little seminars on that book. But he really focused on creating a positive environment and remaining positive even when you don't feel like it. And in light of, everything that we've gone through this year with each other and parents and students and whatnot, I think that it was a great message for me, that it's about the kids. And regardless of how wrapped up I get in life in other ways, I need to remember that it's about our kids, because that's why I'm here. He talked a lot about how we overload our best teachers, and I really had to reflect on that your best teachers in the schools are the ones that you go to for everything, right? And you say, would you serve on this committee? Oh, you'd be really great at doing this, or you'd be really great at doing that. And he said, stop doing that. He said, go to your teachers that aren't your great teachers and give them the extra work to do to help them become great teachers. And leave those teachers that are giving you 150% alone job, because they're overworking themselves to begin with. So I thought that was a really nice message to get out there, to think about your best teachers are giving you 150%, and not to keep adding things on their plate. Upcoming, we have a concert that's going on right now as we speak. And NHS induction is on the 11th.
Patty? And I don't know if you can answer this or not, but with Will Toole, the representative, being able to get the opt-out for Common Core into the legislature session in January, how will that affect our testing in our high school?
It won't.
That won't.
Won't affect it whatsoever. If they do core, they'll just go back to main learning results.
Yeah.
Okay. And the test is the SAT, which doesn't have anything to do with main learning results or Common Core, so that won't be affected.
But they're still going to come up with a grade, regardless of whether the assessment is different or not. The grades are going to still be somehow compared to last year's test and this year's test, which are completely different.
They haven't made up their mind yet, obviously. Some are and some aren't. And that's what we're getting feedback for. Date for an information session. I might suggest next Tuesday, the 8th, if that works, or The 14th, 15th, I don't think we want to, but then we're going to be up against Christmas when we get to the 21st.
Eighth is good for me.
Eighth is
Any of
good
those
for me.
dates work for anybody?
8th is good for me.
Patty,
Have my
8th?
for me.
calendar.
Do you know?
I don't have my calendar. I think it's okay.
Want to tentatively set it for the 8th, and
Yeah.
if it's changes, let me know, and I'll get to the board immediately.
I can't be there.
Hmm?
I'll be out of town.
Okay,
What time?
you call it, or they call it. What time's good?
Do you expect it to be lengthy?
I expect this to be an hour to an hour and a half, especially if you've got a lot of questions, which I anticipate that.
5:30? Earlier? Later?
5:30 is good for me.
And that's open to anyone who wants to attend as well. It's your kids that it's gonna affect.